So final shape is out now, and we've had some time to test the extent of how good Prismatic is. But there's still a Prismatic exclusive fragment that will change DPS going forward, the facet of command. With Prismatic, we've gotten a bunch of new and reworked fragments to customize our subclass, but the new facet of command has been flying under the radar. It had recently been given a shout out by the Destiny Twitter account when announcing that it would be included on the contest rate disabled list. But with contest over, facet command is available to use, so today I'm going to show you the extent of this fragment. Before the video continues, I want to make two disclaimers. Number one, faceted command, like I previously said, is a Prismatic exclusive fragment, meaning to use the methods in this video, you must have final shape. Number two, the video is broken into two parts. The first is the general use methods, which any class can use and do not require anything other than a fragment and maybe any listed components. The second is class use methods, that any class can use but will require certain abilities or exotics. But to note as well, since prismatic abilities are class locked, different classes will experience different difficulties replicating these methods. For the most part, Hunter will always have the easiest time, Warlock will be a little bit more difficult but just as good, and Titan will have a very hard time utilizing these methods to their fullest. In the video later, I will explain. So what does Faceted Command do? When freezing or suppressing an enemy, your equipped weapons are reloaded, as well as an increase to stability, aim assist, and AE. Defeating these affected targets creates either a void breach or a stasis shard. The first part of this effect is the part that this video will be exploiting. In-game, this effect is procced by freezing or suppressing an enemy, and when doing so, you will get an 11-second buff that is refreshable and has no cooldown for refresh of increased weapon stats. The important part here is that the fragment has no cooldown time. So how do we use this for DPS? First, I will show you the general methods that any class can replicate exactly the same. The first part to explore this is Chill Clip. Hitting an enemy with the top half of the mag will slow the enemy. If we can use Chill Clip to freeze an enemy, our gun will reload instantly. Therefore, we never have to reload the gun as long as we do not miss our shots. To prove this, I have a few examples of this working with some Chill Clip weapons. First is Deliverance, the Vow Raid Fusion. With Final Shape, it only takes 2 shots for me to freeze an enemy, and will all reload once we do so. This is similar to the Riptide fusion rifle from the Crucible, except the Riptide takes 3 shots to freeze an enemy. And similar to Riptide, another example is our Fire and Forget Linear from Season of the Seraph. This gun requires 3 shots alike to freeze, but works exactly the same. Up until now, we've had Chill Clip in the 4th column, meaning we've had to choose between a damage perk or it. Now with the new raid, we have our first 3rd column Chill Clip weapon. The new Raid Sniper Critical Anomaly can roll Chill Clip with either Bane Switch, Fine Line, or the new Chaos Reshape perk for increased damage. And just like that, before, this gun works exactly the same as other Chill Clip weapons, but also has a damage perk. This makes this gun really good for total damage scenarios and any scenario where heavy ammo isn't so available. Now that we've looked at some Chill Clip weapons, we can also look at exotic weapons that synergize with Faceted Command. The most notable ones I tested are Conditional, Two-Tailed Fox, and Tractor Cannon. First is Conditional Finality, which comes from the Root of Nightmares raid, and its intrinsic perk causes the first shot to freeze a target and the second to ignite a target. This won't be great for damage on its own as you cannot reproc freeze on a frozen target, but having every shot freeze means instant reloads for your other weapons. Next is Two-Tailed Fox. This is a world drop exotic and its intrinsic perk makes it shoot 2 rockets at once, first one suppressing and the second one scorching. This makes every shot reload instantly upon impact with a target because you are suppressing it, and in this case I am using the Catalyst but does nothing other than increase my damage, so you do not need this. The base version of Two-Tailed Fox is just as good. The last one I thought was notable was Tractor Cannon. This is a world drop exotic and its intrinsic perk applies a 30% debuff and suppresses the enemy. Unlike Conditional's usability, this will be used to reload your other weapons, but Tractor is better as it is part of the endgame meta and allows the team's Tractor Cannon user to have better damage, using this with sniper or shotgun swaps for the best results. Now we move to the second half of the video talking about class-specific methods, which will be utilizing exotic armor and prismatic abilities. I'm going to go over each class separately and explain some combinations you can use to see huge benefits. Also, there's definitely going to be things I missed. This is just something that immediately came to mind. First up is Hunters. Prismatic Hunters have a wide variety of ways to freeze targets with Silence and Squall, Dust Field Grenades, and Stasis Shurikens. Using the super alone is usually more than enough to empty all reserves in your heavy weapon. The reason this is so good is now that you can proc freeze with an ability, your DPS weapon can be any gun you're choosing, not requiring any way to freeze or suppress on their own. This goes for all classes, but as long as you have an ability that can consistently either freeze or suppress, your weapon loadouts are preference. With this, we can use high DPS weapons like rockets and GLs with none of the downsides or downtime. This also expands to high DPS exotics like Fourth Horseman, Merciless, and Euphony. Fourth Horseman with reserves can unload 4 mags of ammo with no downtime. Merciless doesn't have to worry about losing increased charge rate, and Euphony does not have to worry about losing out on threadlings when reloading. Even things like Lucky Pants and Malfeasance, or another double-hit hand cannon, can be paired nicely after expending all your heavy ammo. Some exotic armor that benefits from this is Mask of Bacchus. Since your super will be stasis, dodging will give you 4 times surges for arc and stasis weapons for 11 seconds. This pairs well with Fourth Horseman. Another one is Foe Tracer, similarly would give you a 4 times surge to stasis weapons for 10 seconds if you use your stasis abilities. And Renewable Grasp also pair nicely with this setup, as the Dustfield grenades will proc fast at a command and also reduce the enemy's outgoing damage by half, as well as increasing your grenade's radius. Next onto Warlocks, who have it just as good, but the requirements to hit that power ceiling has a bit more hoops to jump through. Prismatic Warlock has some stasis capabilities, including Bleak Watcher grenades, Cold Snaps, and Transcendence grenade. Just like the Hunter, we can use these abilities to achieve the same crazy DPS using a weapon of our choosing. What I found works best is Bleak Watchers plus Devour. This lets you make a Bleak Watcher and start Enhanced Devour at the same time. Now just a few kills and your grenade will be fully charged again. I would also suggest using Apotheosis Veil to get 2 grenades quickly to start freezing an enemy. Another exotic you can use is Ozymances on the exotic class item to regain grenade energy back. Lastly is Titans, who definitely have it the worst with this method. As far as I know, the only ability that can help is the suppressor grenades. But if you have to use a grenade per command proc, then you might as well be using a demolitionist weapon. So even if you miss the grenade, your gun will still reload. If you are set on using suppressor grenades, I would still pair this with the Armentarium, so at least you have 2 chances to reload your weapons. Although Titans do not have a great way to use this method, they still do benefit from the general methods, and one that sticks out is the Two-Tailed Fox with Hazardous Propulsion. This way you can have an easy 35% buff on top of a bottomless mag rocket. And that's all the testing I did with this fragment. I do imagine that this fragment will be nerfed, whether that's giving it a cooldown or only reloading off ability freezes or suppressions, who knows. I would say that this will change the DPS strats in high-end PvE, including mostly in speedrunning and low-man challenges, but truthfully, the only downside of this strategy is that only maybe 2 people can get this method working at a time with freezes. Similar to the old chill clip rockets, 2 people seem to be the max for freezing a target at once. But you could get up to 6 people on a team working this method if you tried suppressing instead. Suppression seems to be weird and there seems to be no cooldown with it, but it is hard to have 6 people suppressing all at once. There isn't many options. So basically, do not sleep on this fragment. Bungie, this is in their radar, and it's about time that more people know about this and get on this before it goes away. I just want to say thanks for watching the whole video, and Final Shape has been great. Hopefully there's more videos to be made.